Hello, I'm Jonathan from Shooting Stuff. Today, I want to show how I use technology to verify my shooting performance. The TactaCam is a camera system that looks through the scope while I'm shooting, and I can then go and analyze that footage later to see exactly what happened shot to shot. So from a day on the range, I'm going to illustrate the benefit of the TactaCam with these 3 different groupings that I shot, and they're just illustrative of the day's shooting. 2 that are pretty tight groups, and the last one is much more open. Once it's opened up, then we'll have a look and see, was it a shooter error or what actually caused was it a shooter error that caused the shots to go astray? So on the first grouping, with the post-processing on the TactaCam, we're illustrating the shooting at very slow speed. Here we're down at 1% speed, and that shot broke very nicely in the middle of the target. Went a little bit high, and that's a deliberate offset dialed in on the scope to put it into the middle of the grid. There's our second shot. And as we can see, when that one broke, it was slightly low and slightly to the right. And as expected from the sight picture, we saw that the shot was also slightly to the right, or so it would appear. The third shot, again when it broke, was also slightly to the right. Height was good, and this one dropped a little bit down, also out to the right. So it seems like the use of the technology is proving the point that the shots are going just where they should be, and we can see the performance coming off of the sights. This is probably within the typical group size noise levels. And let's watch that last shot. Again, it drifted slightly to the right. The levels vertical was pretty good, but a few millimeters off to the right, and we can conclude from this test that the sights, as they drifted off to the right, the shots also tended to go off to the right. Good use of technology. The second illustrative grouping was not quite as tight, if memory serves me correctly. There's a bit more vertical coming in, and let's see what we can see once we look at the TactaCam in slow motion. So 1 high, 1 low shot. Was this shooter error? Let's have a look. So that first shot, if I look carefully, also broke ever so slightly to the right hand side. Not too much, maybe a millimeter or 2. And we are slightly off to the right. So once again, consistent. This one, as I called it, was slightly lower and slightly further to the right. And once again, we can see where the shot impacted was consistent relative to the previous one, slightly low and slightly further to the right. Shot number 3. If the technology was to be proven correct, should have been high when the shot broke, and it wasn't. It was very much the same as shot number 2 in terms of the point of aim on the target, and yet the shot impacted about 1 centimeter higher. And watching carefully on this one, we can see that there's no movement of the crosshairs, or no rapid movement of the crosshairs, not up and down. And that one broke about as center as any of them have been. So the line is good left and right, but it dropped 1 centimeter below the first 2 and 2 centimeters below the previous shot. And this 5th shot of the group, although it broke quite low on the point of aim, it went nicely into the middle. So this is starting to illustrate that dispersion is not only a function of shooter and aiming issues, but the left and right, we can definitely see when we're aiming off to the side, it's coming through in the position of the groups. So this is the worst of the groups that I want to use as this illustration, and we can see a lot of vertical developing in here. It's a different load, and let's just see if it's all coming from the load or from the shooter's contribution, and I was the shooter. So the first shot breaks a little bit low as we're watching it, nicely left and right, but a little bit low, and that gives us the ballpark for this particular load. The second shot broke very nicely in the middle, but quite a considerable offset in the vertical plane for this second shot of the load. Probably an inch low. One is always inclined to blame it on the shooter. I must have done something wrong, and this technology with the scope camera really enables you to analyze afterwards and say, was it me or was it not? And I can think that although there are some point of aim offsets, they are fairly small, within 2 or 3 millimeters. That does not correlate to the dispersion on the target. And the final shot, clearly off to the right when the shot broke, nicely off to the right, and the point of impact, was it to the right? No, it was to the left. So no strong correlation between the points of impact here and the sight picture as the shot broke. And this is the technology, or the advantage of technology, to help understand where the issues are coming from. Is the performance on the target coming from the shooter? And for sure the shooter's got a contribution. Not all of those shots broke perfectly with the sight centered on the target, but the point of impact of the shots is a function of the dispersion of the overall rifle ammunition system, and the flyers are not shooter error, not always. Enjoy the use of the technology. I've started to enjoy it a whole lot more in the reloading, in the shooting, and in the data analysis afterwards. Shooting Stuff is here offering our advice, giving you more time to shoot.